Okay, so I'm trying to create just a generic console. So I had this scrap board just sitting around my house. I know it's big, and I can always shore this up and make it bigger. But what I'm going to do here is I've just measured in 8 inches from the side and got it nice and centered. So in this case, it's 7 3/4 where my dot is. And then I did the same thing over here. That way I'll have some space between the players. And then it also gives me room if I want to add other consoles, other buttons, and eventually I'd like to get this to be a 4-player control. So what I'm going to do is just drill out these holes to get the place for the joystick. So something that's going to be important, that you don't have wood that's too thick. I originally had plans for this thicker trim board that I was using because I thought it would look really smooth, but it's too thick. And I know there's probably ways I can grind that out, but I don't have time to do that, nor do I want to, because it's just a prototype. So a thinner board will be perfect. And now I can just take my joystick control, which is right here. I should be able to push this right up through. You can slide this on. It's going to look nice and sharp. And then I can attach the ball here for the joystick. And we're in business. So now what I have to do then is just in here screw these guys on and get a bolt through there to make that nice and tight. So what I'm going to do now is just turn this over and I'm just going to drill some holes right in there just to kind of hold that in place. So I'm gonna need a smaller drill bit and get that done. And once you got the holes, then it's just time to put the nut and bolts through. Just gonna get these guys in. Alright, so the next step now is just kind of sand this stuff down. I think it's just looking as smooth as it can. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be able to cover some of this stuff up with the paint. But you do want it to look good. But I'll just create I'm going to paint, and put a vinyl decal around this, and we should be in tip-top shape. So my next step now is to go ahead and get a coat of paint on this, and we'll go from there. Alright, so this is the underside of the small joystick that you can buy at Adafruit. I got my 5 female-to-female leads out here. This is what I use for my RetroPie, but we don't need all 5. We actually just need 3 because we're doing a game of Pong. So we just need up, down, and then the ground to actually keep the Makey Makey engaged without having to use your own human body. So there's lots of guides and schematics online, but I know that the up for this particular one, I'm going to program the up arrow is going to go into the purple here. And then I know also then that the down I'm going to be using for gray. This is the middle wire 3 here of the 5 prongs. And then the last will be the ground. That way it creates a connection, but I don't have to use the human body, which makes the video game play really nice. And that is the blue. And so I'm going to go ahead and get this wired in here. For this one, this will be player control 1. And then I'll need to do the same over here for the Makey Makey, but the only difference is going to be that as opposed to plugging it into ports one up and down on the Makey Makey, they're going to be left and right, but are going to signal up and down on the scratch game. So I'm going to go ahead and get my female to female leads, and then I have to get an alligator clip with a male lead to plug those in properly. So I'm probably going to need some longer cables because these are so far apart in my design, with the idea that I hope to add 2 more controllers eventually. So we'll get this up and running here and get it flipped over so you can actually see it. Okay, so what I've done is I just had some of this scrap trim from a living room remodel project. So I'm just using, I didn't go out and buy anything, but what I'm doing here is I've cut these boards into about 15 3/4 inches so I can put them on the sides like you're going to see here. I'm gonna screw and glue the board here on the other end of the board, and then also along the way, like right in here, just to provide structure, because this wood that I use for the initial tabletop is so weak and flimsy, it's actually pretty ridiculous. So what I did, just so you can see, is I properly measured. I know it's going to be a little hard to probably tell here, but like right here I marked where the next controller joystick's going to be. So I actually have purchased 2 more joysticks that I didn't own. There's going to be one right there, and I got another one right here, then obviously the 4th one. So I know that when I go to put my support boards in, I got to go in between those to allow the wiring to go through. The other thing I did is I measured right in the middle of this board. So I went 2 feet in, it's a 4-foot board, and this is where I'm going to drill a hole and screw in the start button. So this is what's actually going to start the game when we go to begin. So I'm going to go ahead and drill in the support boards to strengthen this and actually make it a true tabletop, and then drill in the hole so we can get the button in. So before I screw these boards in for the support structures inside, I'm actually going to take this drill bit, I'm just doing a 3/4 inch, and I'm going to drill a hole, maybe 1 or 2, just for the wiring. Once I get them in, it's going to be a little bit harder to do that. So I'm just drilling these holes so that I can get the wires or the joysticks to the actual Makey Makey. So I'm just going to go ahead and just drill in 2 different holes. Just to allow the wiring to kind of pass through. I'm just doing 2 holes just for precaution, just to make sure that I have what I need. And then once I got these holes, then I'll go ahead and then screw these boards in for the support. Alright, so my button's not quite fitting there yet, so I'm just using my awesome favorite tool, the wireless Dremel, to get this hole the way I want it to get it to fit. So I'm trying to just get this lined up here and just trying to see, you know, like where I need to shave around. So I think I've got a little mark there. So I'm going to go ahead and knock that out. Kind of like going to the dentist, isn't it? So we want to get it where it fits in there. It's tight. We're not going to break the button. There we might have it there. Pretty close. Pretty close. So let's see. Alright, I bet she's good now. Yeah. Perfect. So before I finalize anything, I'll probably do some vinyl decals just to get all this cleaned up when it's said and done. But at least we know it's in there. So now it just comes down to getting everything wired in. But I think we're going to be in good business. Alright, so here is the underside of the project. I've got the 1 joystick right here with the holes. Here's kind of the middle part, and then the other side. And what I've got going on here that I'm going to have to make some adaptations to. First, I'm going to have to get the Makey Makey adhered to the bottom side just to hold this. So I'm actually going to be using some Velcro dots. Okay, so I made note. I just took some notes on my notepad, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug these here for now because I don't need them. And I'm just going to take my Velcro dots here, and I'm actually going to be able to use them just right there on the front because we're not going to be using the front for anything. So I'm just going to stick these on here, and that way they're easy to take off in case I want to use this Makey Makey project later for other projects, because nothing lasts forever. We all know that when we build, they're all just prototypes. So I just want to make sure I try to avoid these sensors. I don't think there's anything conductive on here, but you never know. So I think 2 will actually be just fine. And then I think, honestly, if I just keep these, I just keep this right here. I'm going to put it in line with these holes. It'll just be easier, I think, to wire. That's going to hold that in place. And we're going to be in good shape there. It's going to be perfect. Okay, so since the back of the Makey Makey doesn't actually have a slot for a space bar, I've wired the start button to the W. So I'm going to have to go in and just fix that code where right now I have when the space bar is pressed, it's going to begin. I'll just change that to a W. So now what I want to do is just flip this around and plug it in and make sure that my wiring is all correct so we can go ahead and play the game. So let's go ahead and check it out. Okay, so here is so here is the final game. I'm gonna have to play one player solo here for the sake of the video. But it says press button to begin, which is this button right here, and then I'll be both players as they use the joystick. So here we go. Now as this goes, it's going to increase speed. Eventually we'll have 4 controls. We have some plans for more advanced games down the road. And this would be projected onto a TV, which I just don't currently have right here in my workspace. But that's how you would do this. So you could actually have this full panel of 4 players playing. And there you go. Potato Pong is a success. Player 1, winner, winner. Chicken dinner. Boom. Alright guys, let me know what you think. Give me some likes, give me some love. What can I do to make it better? I've got some plans for the updated version with 4 joysticks when the others come, but in the meantime, let me know what you think.